Hello friend, welcome to the Angular 8 tutorial. In this tutorial, we will learn what is the component in Angular 8 and what is the use of the component in the Angular 8. So, a Angular application is basically a collection of the component, and a component handle one view, or we can say one HTML page. An Angular app component control a part of the UI of your application. Means, for an example, you want to make a page where you want to have one header, one footer and one body part. So you can make all these three parts as a component, and you can, or if you want, you can make whole page as a one component. It depend on your that how you want to manage your code. A component is basically a TypeScript class which is decorated with the @ symbol. A component contain following main three things. First is selector. So a selector that tell Angular to create or insert an instance of this component wherever it find the tag in the HTML, and the template URL is a path of the HTML page, and the style URL is the path of the CSS page. So if you will make any changes to this style or this style URL, it will reflect to the respective template HTML only. So all Angular application has at least one component to show data on the browser, and in a application we can have multiple component as well. And when we create any component in Angular application, we have to define this component in the ng module, and this is the following command which is used to create the component, that is ng, g for generate, c for component, and the component name. So let's understand this component using an example. So open Visual Studio Code and open your application here. So I have opened the app.component.ts file here, and we can see that component is decorated with the @ keyword. So this component is basically a directive, as we understand in the last video, and it is importing from the Angular core library. So this component have some main things. First is the selector. As I explained, selector is basically an instance of this component. So it has the one parameter called app root. So this component find this app root, that where this app root is defined in the HTML page. So this is a default component it created when we create the application, and this app root is defined in the index.html. You can see it here. So when we run this application, this component put this HTML page to the index.html page. So basically what we can say, like index.html is the master page and app.component.ts is the sub page, and the next is the template URL. So template URL is referring to the app.component.html. So wherever if we make any changes to this app.component.html, it will reflect from component, and it will show on the browser. And next is the style URL, and it is coming from app.component.cs. So if we make any changes to this CSS class, it will reflect the changes only on in the app.component.html. So let's run this application and we'll see what it is showing on the screen. So this is the screen. So let's run it. The command is ng serve and -o. So it is compiling the application and it will show on the browser. Then after that we will make changes to this HTML page, and we'll see that it is reflecting to the respective component or not. So now it's compiled successfully and it's loading the page, and we can see it is showing like this. So now what I will do, I'll remove whole code from this HTML page and I'll keep this only. Select all, delete, and I will make this span as a, or I'll make it s2 and s2, and I'll save it, and we'll see on the browser it is saying, so it is saying my first app is running. So we can say like this app dot component dot ts is calling to this html, and will make changes to this html and css for looking the changes. So I'll do h2 color red, and we'll see the changes. See, so this style class is reflecting to the respective HTML only, and if we can make more changes to this HTML to check more. So HR to show the line basically, and I'll make one div, and in div I will write I am Angular 8 application, and I'll give CSS to this div, and I'll give color as green. I'll give, and we'll see the changes on the browser. So we can see the changes has reflected here. So let's go to the component again. Here it is showing the path for the component HTML and component CSS, and we can write those two as a inline query also. So let's try with the inline query as well. So remove it, and remove URL from here because we are writing the inline query. So I will write h2 I am Angular 8 application, and same for CSS also we can write. So I'll remove URL styles, and here give color. I'll give color for h2 color. I will give like blue, I will give blue, and save it and see on the browser. So we can see, so if we have a small content, then we can write it as a inline query, but I recommended you always use the template and the template CSS as well. So let's undo this changes, and serve it again and see on the browser the changes. Yeah, so changes is like before only. And there is a one more important keyword for this component is white, is preserve white spaces, and if we make it true, and what is the use of preserve white spaces is, suppose for the it is useful for the controls only. Suppose I am going to make any control on the browser, and if you want spaces between the controller, then always make preserve with white spaces as a true. So let's see this within an example. On the HTML page I will take button, and I will say and just copy this and give the name like button1 and give a space. I'll write button2 and give a space and write it as a button 3 and see on the browser, and we can see here all the buttons has space in between them. So that is the use of preserve white spaces. Now make that preserve white spaces as a false, and we'll see the spaces between the buttons. So serve it again and see on the browser, it's loading. So we can see there is no space between the control. So the use of preserve white spaces is only for the buttons, or we can say only for the tools only. So yeah, that is all about the component in the Angular 8. If you have any question, please comment. Thank you.